NFL.com's Adam Rank has been doing a series of state of the franchise, and he is talking Miami Dolphins. So we're going to react to it. Let's jump into this. What is up, fans? Yes. Spruising through the NFL.com, ESPN, Miami Herald, kind of, seeing what everyone's talking about. And I stumbled across State of the Franchise or State of the Miami Dolphins. Time for Mike McDaniel, Tua Tagovailoa to deliver, my apologies, deep playoff run. So we're going to look at this. This is written by Adam Rank. It came out yesterday, and we're going to look at this. We're going to dive into it. He essentially talks about the Dolphins and what came and what went, and we're going to react to it and see if we agree with what Adam Rank has to say. Now, if you don't know who Adam Rank is, essentially this is Adam Rank right here. These aren't none of these guys. This is Adam Rank. And Adam Rank is very well known for being that guy who my brain is not working. He would pick games after the schedule come out, and he was always like way off. So he came out with, again, State of the Miami Dolphins, and we're going to look at that. So the 2024 Brain Trust. You got head coach Mike McDaniel, general manager Chris Greer, offensive coordinator Frank Smith, defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver, special teams Danny Crossman. Then you have the roster reshuffling, the additions. We have a ton of additions here. We have way more additions than we do key departures. But again, I've already talked about this when I was grading or essentially saying, did the Dolphins get better? Is you look at some of the big key losses like Robert Hunt, Connor Williams, and Christian Wilkins. Those three are huge. Like, you could say Christian Wilkins' loss, you would have to equate to like these three and Harris, Jones, and Tart being like, even Gallimore being good enough that, you forget about that. It's pretty big losses. You look at our draft picks, you got Chop, Patrick Paul, Wright, Kamara, Malik Washington, Patrick McMorris, and Taj Washington. So that's the addition there. Then new faces to know for the Miami Dolphins. I'm not going to mention every interior defensive lineman the Dolphins signed this offseason, the list above anyway. The best player at the position, Christian Wilkins, departed in free agency to sign with the Las Vegas Raiders because, well, he got a lot of money. 100%. The most recognizable new defensive lineman will be Calais Campbell, a 17-year vet who signed with the team in June. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio left for Philadelphia after last season, which was kind of a bummer because I was longing for a Fangio, Mike McDaniel buddy cop type movie, but the Dolphins have poured a lot of resources into that defensive line. He also talks about Anthony Weaver. He says Weaver was the assistant head coach, D-line coach for the Ravens the last two seasons. Starting safety Javon Holland has raved about him this offseason. In fact, when asked back in May about the biggest difference with Weaver this season compared to Vic Fangio, Holland said, per NFL Cameron Wolfe, it's the fact that Weaver is a good person and makes the difference. Now, you don't really have to read much between the lines to understand what Holland was saying about, and I'm assuming Fangio is blocking the people on social media who have pointed this out, but I found it interesting, and I feel like bringing in Weaver was a great hire. You guys know how I feel about Anthony Weaver. He was one of, when the Dolphins started looking at defensive coordinator candidates, he was my top three. I think it was him. I think it was Wink Martindale. I don't remember the third guy. There was somebody. Oh, his name is like on the tip of my tongue. Oh, there was somebody I really wanted. You have to go back and watch it. But I wanted Anthony Weaver. We got Anthony Weaver. I think the fact that he was not only the defensive line coach, but he was the assistant head coach brings a lot more to it than just being a defensive coordinator. Plus, he was a defensive coordinator with the Houston Texans and definitely can learn from his downfalls. Then you have Odell Beckham. I know Beckham appears to be well past his prime, but I really like the signing for the Dolphins. There's no pressure on OBJ with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle on the squad. He could have a rebirth joining those two guys, like when Hollywood Hogan joined Scott Hall and Kevin Nash to create the NWO. Now you kind of get the idea of how he is, because he's really funny. Adam Rank. So you get an idea of how he is. But yeah, bringing OBJ in, essentially, you have Tyreek, you have Jalen, you have Raheem Mostert, you have Devon Achane, and you have Jonnu Smith. It's not like we're depending on him to be that number one guy and he'll go out there, and make all these catches and everything. State of the quarterback room. As you might know, I'm a big Tua Tagovailoa guy. I did not know that, Adam Rank, but okay. I was bullish on Tua coming into last year, and he had the best season of his career. He had a career high 69.3 completion rate, led the league with 4,624 passing yards, and tossed 29 touchdown passes. He's trending up for sure. The question that I get a lot is he worth a contract extension that pays him a top off the market? Trevor Lawrence recently got paid. You have other quarterbacks who got signed massive extensions in the weeks ahead, like Jordan. You also have guys like Dak Prescott who could be available as free agents next offseason. We know that Tua can play. Can he take the Dolphins to the next level? That's what we're looking at here. Is Tua the franchise guy? I feel like he is, but the Dolphins obviously have yet to offer him the number he's looking for in a new deal. And I think that's where, like I said, there are different groups to the Miami Dolphin fan base. And there are guys who love Tua and he can do no wrong and it's everyone else's fault. And there's guys kind of like me who I see the good that he does and I'm rooting for him because he's a Miami Dolphin quarterback, but I know where he needs to step up and I know where he needs to get better to get that franchise type contract. Then there are the guys who are skeptical of Tua, don't think he can, but also, doesn't think he deserves that contract, but needs to see more from him. And then there's people who just can't stand Tua and would rather the team lose so he's gone than have us win with him and sign him to a long-term contract. But yeah, he hit the nail on the head when he said, he's got to take the Dolphins to the next level, but you guys know how I feel about that. Most important non-quarterback, obviously, that is Tyreek Hill. If there was a season when a wide receiver was going to win the MVP award, it would have been Hill last season. I see you Justin Jefferson fans, chill. He should have won it last year. Hill was on pace for 2,000 yards receiving for majority of the season. He had 6 games with at least 140 receiving yards and finished with nearly 1,800, making him the first player in NFL history with multiple seasons with at least 1,700 receiving yards. Hill might have hit his goal had he not been slowed by an ankle injury in week 14. In fact, 12 of his 13 touchdowns last season happened in the first 13 weeks of the season. Now, motivated by the new wide receiver market, Hill seems more motivated than ever ahead of 2024. And again, people are going to take this as an excuse, but after week 14, Tyreek Hill wasn't the same guy. And we had to play, and same thing with Jalen Waddle, same thing with Raheem Mostert, same thing with the whole team. Got completely dismantled by injuries. Sucked. It really did. It happens. It happens to many franchises, but it just happened. My hottest Dolphins fantasy take. Devon Achane is going to be league winner for you this season. Achane was Achane was great as a rookie, leading the league with 7.8 yards per carry, minimum 100 carries. He was second in the NFL with 17.3 fantasy points per game. Veteran Raheem Mostert will also be a factor in the backfield, just as he was last season, but the second-year pro will likely have a bigger impact on the run game and pass game if he stays healthy. And if he gets goal line work, look out. That no-look pitch against the Denver Broncos was just a thing of beauty. But yeah, he didn't get injured in college a lot. And when I had Reason on, we were talking about that, how it was something new that he has to readjust his body to the NFL game because the hits are different than in college. And hopefully he can stay healthy because I think him and Jalen Wright are the future of that backfield. And then the 2024 roadmap, 3 key dates. Week 2, Thursday night versus Buffalo. The hot Miami Garden sun is such an underrated asset in the early part of the season. The Dolphins can set themselves up with an early season win against their division rivals. I will say this, and I think I talked about this when the schedule came out. I get that it's a Thursday night game, and we would prefer it to be a Sunday 1 o'clock game and just roast the wings on the opposite side of the field. I was down in Miami last year for the Giants game. I was also at that Miami game, Hurricane game, where There was a minute left, and they completely choked the game away. It was so much hotter and so much more humid. I was sweating so bad at that Saturday night game, the Hurricane game, than I was at the Giants game at 1 o'clock the next day. And it's because it rained. If come Thursday, it is pouring all day and then it stops raining right before the Dolphins and Bills take to the field, the Bills are going to suffer. I don't care that it's at nighttime. It is humid. Like, you guys are from Miami. Anyone who's from Miami, Dayton County, the Hollywood area, all the Miami area. I'm trying to name places for you guys. You know what it gets like, even at nighttime, so it don't matter. Week 13, Thanksgiving at Green Bay Packers. I know some people think this team can't win in the cold weather, but I love the Dolphins, Moxie, and the playoffs 2 years ago in Buffalo. A road win in Green Bay would be huge at this point in the season. Yeah, it was that game. They got really close, and I know a lot of people, you can't really knock Skyler. It was a 7th-round pick that was playing his first playoff game, but those 2 interceptions definitely hurt. But then you also look at the game where it was snowing and we lost by 3, and Tua played a really good game. I think it was like 200 yards, 100-something passer rating, 2 touchdowns. So they can play in the cold. It's just, can they do it when it matters? And then week 18 at New York Jets. Speaking of the cold weather, the Dolphins close the season with the roads in New York, Cleveland and New York. Those games will be the difference in hosting a playoff game. Once again, going on the road, just like the last 2 preseason games. I live literally, I used to live 20 minutes from the stadium. Now I live about half hour from the stadium. It gets cold in January here. Like 20s, 30s. It gets cold here in January. And if they move that to a night game, it's going to be even colder. But then again, if the Dolphins play to a high level, or if they, answer the questions and the stigmas and all that stuff, they might not be playing for anything on week 18. I'm going to try to go to that game for the MetLife Takeover, but we'll see. For 2024 to be a success, the Dolphins must A, win a Super Bowl, B, make a playoff run, C, earn a playoff berth, D, finish above 500, or E, show progress. Comment below. Which one? For you to think, for the Dolphins 2024 to be a success, the Dolphins must. Comment below. Don't put just A, B, or say A, win a Super Bowl. Put the comment below and tell me why. I'm very interested to read your comments. I think it's B. Obviously, so does Adam Rank. They need to make a playoff run. Obviously, winning the Super Bowl is the end-all, be-all. But for 2024 to be a success, I need them to win a playoff game. I need them to, make a playoff run. Finishing above 500, not good enough. Showing progress, that would mean if you're showing progress, you had 11 wins last year, you should win 12 to 13, and then B and C are already in the picture. So for me, it's B. And so for him, my answer, B, make a playoff run. I'm not 100% sure this team is in a Super Bowl window. I mean, if we go to New Orleans, home of the Super Bowl, LIX, and the Dolphins are there, I won't completely be shocked. Say what, Adam Rank? Don't. What I really want to see from Miami this year is for Mike McDaniel's team to put together some postseason success. We know how good the Dolphins are in the regular season. This team seems like it's on the verge of greatness, so I want to see them take the next step. Last year's playoff exit was a disappointment because the Dolphins weren't even competitive in Kansas City to the point where Hill called out his team mates for it. Another one and done in January would seem like a huge disappointment. 100%. For the 2024 season to be a success, they have to win a playoff game. And they have to, like he said, take the success that they have in the first 3 quarters of the season and add it to December and January. And it's more the end of December into January, because the Dolphins last year had an actually good record in December, and Tua is not bad in December. It's once you get towards the end of December into January is where things start to fall apart. And it's not a Tua thing. It's not a McDaniels thing. It's a Dolphins thing. because they did it under Brian Flores. They did it under Adam Gase. It's like a thing where, oh, we need to beat this team to make the playoffs. How many times did we see it with Joe Philbin? How many times did we see it with how many different coaches where the Denver collapse with Joe Philbin, where we were on pace to make the playoffs and Peyton Manning in Denver just manhandled us and we didn't make the playoffs. It's a thing that happens with this Dolphins team where it's like, you got to take care of business. Just beat so-and-so and you're in. We can't. Okay, now we have to hope for this and this to happen. All right, well, this, and that happen. You just got to win this, and we don't. So the team, as well as Tua, as well as McDaniel, because it's the play calling, it's the play on the field, it's so much, they have to show that they can continue their success. And again, showing progress means winning a playoff game. So comment below. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you tomorrow, Saturday special video, with a special guest that you guys have been asking me to have on for a while. So I got him. We're going to chat. It's going to be fun. But on that, like usual, stay classy. My friends up.